And it's time now for Voices of the Region. Each week we talk with an area journalist about the stories they are covering. Our guest today is author and columnist Aaron Brown.
Probably first on the mind of many is the high water flooding, especially in northern St. Louis County, though it's happened here in Itasca County where I am too. Several roadways closed, and they've been sandbagging and trying to prevent some flooding in Lake Cabatovica and Crane Lake. Those are areas where are getting very busy this time of year because it's fishing season and soon to be tourist season. And so we've had these high waters. Actually, the St. Louis County Board has sought a state of emergency, and we'll be seeking additional help. So, last year this time we had very dry conditions on the way to a drought, and this spring has been a lot wetter, which is good in some ways, but as is usual with the weather, too much of anything is a bad thing. Northshore Mining in Silver Bay and Babbitt, I should say, is idled or is idling itself right now, laying off people all through the beginning of May. And this is perhaps just a sign of the changes and perhaps economic realignment of the major mining companies in the region. Cleveland Cliffs runs Northshore Mining, and as we've discussed before, they're using North Shore now as kind of a swing mine, they're calling it. That's what their CEO calls it. It will produce when it needs to, but will not most of the rest of the time. And one of the reasons for that relates to, at least according to the company, relates to the cost of the fees that are being charged by the landowners, the mineral fee holders, the Mesabi Trust in this case. And that just kind of shows that even as the economy in many ways appears to be still in recovery and recovering, with high demand for steel, high prices for steel, it's still a toss-up as to how that affects workers on the ground, because for a lot of workers this summer, there will be a layoff of some kind, especially in Babbitt and Silver Bay. We've seen, historic jumps in the cost of things like housing that have not been made in things like wages. And even though there's been a spike in wage growth recently, cash out of pocket, people are paying more for the things they use and do every day than they did, say, 20 years ago. How do we deal with this? And one of them is looking at things like universal basic income to help those most affected by the price increases make their bills and pay their bills and make their rents. But also looking at some creative solutions to how we handle things like the housing problem. You go across the Iron Range where I'm from and live, you're hearing some of the same things about housing that you hear in the more charged housing markets of Duluth or Minneapolis and St. Paul, which is that there's nothing affordable that's available. The things that are available are either very expensive or have some problems or something, they're not suitable for a family or someone who doesn't have a lot of time to fix things. One of the things that I talk about looking into relates to, how do we make it easier to turn existing properties that we've got into saleable, usable housing. And that's something that I think would be worth exploring. Housing is probably one of the big issues right now. It's not so noticeable if you've got a house and you're happy and you're not trying to buy or sell a house. But if you're looking to move right now, if you're looking to build right now, costs are exponentially higher than they were even, say, 2 years ago. And that's really hitting certain people right now. And people in transition are the ones probably most affected by it.